So, following up on my previous upload of my IdeaPad Gaming 3, let's talk about the newly refreshed version that just came out recently. This is the newly refreshed Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3. Let's talk about it. The IdeaPad Gaming 3 is, as the name would suggest, Lenovo's gaming laptop that's fairly budget-oriented, starting at a price of $800 or $900 depending on where you buy it from. And it's actually supposed to start at $600, but I haven't seen it that low as of recent. Now this is a budget gaming laptop after all, in which most of its budgetness actually comes from when it's on sale, meaning you gotta time your purchase right. And with that said, the laptop is well known for its pretty competitive price and solid specs to boot. Starting with the screen, which I really don't know if I should start with. Admittedly, one of the leading drawbacks of the IdeaPad gaming line is the display, particularly the screen brightness, which actually shouldn't be too big of an issue for those who play indoors or in darker settings. But if you plan on using this laptop for, say, your schoolwork and such, take note that it will be slightly dark in well-lit environments. With that said though, the screen itself is fairly good looking, with a Full HD resolution, and my favorite part, a 120Hz refresh rate. The buttery smoothness of a high refresh rate screen is super satisfying and pretty rad looking. It just looks super smooth. And that 1080p resolution, while not amazing, is just fine for this gaming laptop, especially in that price bracket. Now for the port selection, the laptop is fairly solid, accommodating for all of your connectivity needs. With two USB-A's, USB-C, an HDMI port, an Ethernet port, a headphone jack, and an AC adapter. So very nice in that regard, even better than some of the competition. Now for this laptop, we do have a shutter slider for its camera, which is just a built-in plastic piece for added privacy over the lens. The camera module itself is also pretty standard, 720p, which yeah, not great by today's standards. It's considered HD, but not 1080p, so things will look a little blurry during those meetings. Also the mic is alright. Now for the laptop specs, it's pretty good. This is one of the cheapest laptops that sports the NVIDIA RTX cards, which makes most of the drawbacks pretty negligible, all things considered, because for most people, the performance is what matters. And this laptop, just like mine, doesn't disappoint, especially since it only needs to run games at 1080p, which for that graphics card is no biggie. For the CPU, it comes with the AMD Ryzen 5 6600H, which also is solid. So for the internal specs, the laptop is very good, especially if you get it on sale. Now, storage-wise, this does depend on your configuration. But for the starter model, it does come with 256GB, which is not enough at all. Yeah, 256GB is probably not enough for most gamers, so if you can, I'd suggest speccing this laptop up with more. Or you can upgrade it because gaming laptops, this one included, are able to be upgraded, which is super rad. And another thing you can upgrade that I recommended in my last video is the battery. Now for this newer version of the IdeaPad Gaming 3, it is noted that the battery life of this laptop isn't actually half bad for its users. It can last about 4 hours while gaming and 10 hours with regular use, such as browsing the internet and doing work, which is good for a gaming laptop. Mine does pretty much the same thing. But for those who want a bit more stamina, you could see if you can upgrade it. And lastly, since this is a gaming laptop, it does run Windows 11, meaning you can do anything a typical gaming laptop can do, which should be expected. Now let's get on to my verdict and recommendation. So yes, the new IdeaPad Gaming 3 Refreshed Edition, an upgrade from the last generation for sure. We get a lot of new features that are pretty exciting, and yet it seems that it isn't that well received. Looking to the reviews here, many seem to be fairly disappointed with the laptop as a whole, citing that its screen is pretty mediocre and the keyboard is not as good as the last generation. And also, it doesn't sport a fingerprint or biometric reader, which to be fair, yeah, a fingerprint reader or something like that should be standard in today's laptops. But the keyboard was quite the shocker for me. The last IdeaPad Gaming 3, the one that I have, has a great keyboard that I absolutely love. It's clicky, satisfying, and pretty tactile too, which kind of mean the same thing, but I want to emphasize that I really like it. However, the reviewers of this laptop have noted that its keyboard is a bit less tactile and a bit thinner too, which is a bummer. But nevertheless, this is a fairly budget-oriented laptop, so it's not going to have all the bells and whistles that we would expect. And there are some drawbacks and potential corners cut. Absolutely. But even with that said, it's still an improvement over the last generation. It comes with new specs in a new chassis with a new cooling system, all for the same price as the previous generation, which is a pretty good bargain. Therefore, if you're in the market for a budget gaming laptop, definitely make sure to check out the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3. And there we go, the newly refreshed budget gaming laptop down, and now I think it's time to go back to some tablet versus, but we'll see. Anyway, my name is Cyrus. It's spelled like Cyrus, but not like See Rooster, just take out the terror. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Peace.